on the scaling law, what appears to be kind of centered on the scaling law between universal size and the Planck size is an energy level oscillator that we call the microtubule. So it's one of the fundamental building block of biological structures that has to do with the skeleton of cells and how they build. And these little tubes are quite fantastic. They actually have water molecules in there, and they have energy levels that are very, very high. And that's one of the things is that because of our scale and the way from our scale that we observe the natural world, we always think of biology as this kind of slow, messy thing that, kind of blobs around, but actually, when you get to the minute size of the biology, the components that put the biology together, they're very high energy. You're talking, coherent photonic emission, lasing. You're talking little plasma vortex inside of microtubule. It's high energy stuff. And William Brown and I and Dr. Miraval Baker are writing papers actually on this right now, showing that the structure of space-time, like these are just like antennas in space-time. So you can imagine, to answer your question more clearly, that's the question we're attempting to answer in those papers. What is life, or what is consciousness, and so on. And basically we're saying, actually, we just see an expression of life at a certain scale, but actually life is present at all the scales, because basically we're just like a sack of mostly water with a bunch of minerals in it, and we're able to move around and do things because we are in communication with this field of information. And so that life is present at all levels. It's just that it gets more and more complex as it gets further and further down the feedback, and then it reached levels of complexity where all of a sudden it has mobility, it has capacity to communicate, it's experiencing its environment and reflecting on it, and it's able to crush more and more data, and then we call it, being conscious, or we call it an animal or a tree and so on. And so, basically, it's really important to see it as a continuous evolution from the structure of space-time through the wormhole, black hole nature of the proton, mineral structures, and then eventually, which is a higher complexity, down the table of element, and then into biological structures, which is basically the minerals feeding back information so that they can self-organize in higher level of complexity, water molecule being the main ingredient, and in interaction with the minerals, modulating the mineral. And that's really exciting. 2 weeks ago, there was a paper published at the Academy of Science showing that they are now able to prove, and this is something I've been saying for a long time, I'm so glad they're able to show it now, that actually it's the water molecules that are modulating the amino acid and the protein that makes the DNA fold, so that actually the chemical changes that are happening in the body and all this stuff that makes the DNA take various relationships so that it encodes differently, is actually the water that's making that happen, not, and not just the DNA on its own, which is constantly what's been studied instead of the water that packs the DNA. Where if you remove the water, nothing happens. I mean, there's a reason why life comes out of water, right? And it's the main ingredient that's actually modulating the minerals to eventually, so it's the conduit of the information through the structure of space-time that actually modulate the minerals just right, so that all of a sudden they're able to agglomerate and create structures that are able to talk with each other, and all this, all directed by the water structure. And this is why the brain is 90-some% water. The gray matter is actually very little of what's up there. And some people are actually born with very little gray matter, and that doesn't seem to affect them. Like, they still function absolutely normally. And that should be a clue that that it's the water that's doing the thing. So now they're able to observe that. So that's really exciting for me.